Imagine this. You wake up one morning and realize that no matter how much you sleep, you are still exhausted. Not just physically tired, but completely empty on the inside, like someone reached into your chest and quietly turned off the engine that used to drive your entire life. You used to be passionate, motivated, and full of ideas, but now even the simplest tasks feel like you are trying to move through thick concrete. You tell yourself you just need a vacation, a long weekend, or maybe just one good night of sleep. But deep down, you know that something much more serious is happening to you. What you are experiencing has a name, and it is one of the most misunderstood and deliberately under-discussed psychological phenomena in modern history. Welcome to Intelevo Mind, where today we are finally pulling back the curtain on the burnout crisis that psychology has been hiding from you for decades.
Most people think burnout is just being really tired from working too hard. But that definition is so incomplete that it is actually dangerous because it causes millions of people to misdiagnose themselves and apply the wrong solutions. Burnout is not fatigue. Burnout is a state of chronic psychological, emotional, and physical depletion that occurs when your internal resources are consistently demanded at a rate far higher than they can ever be restored. The World Health Organization officially recognized burnout as an occupational phenomenon in 2019, but psychologists Herbert Freudenberger and Christina Maslach had been sounding the alarm about this invisible epidemic since the early 1970s. The reason it took so long for the world to listen is because burnout looks different from the outside than it feels on the inside. From the outside, a burned-out person can appear perfectly functional, highly productive, and even successful, which is exactly why it is so dangerous and so deeply misunderstood by the people around them, and even by the person experiencing it. Here at Intelevo Mind, we believe that understanding the architecture of burnout is the first step to breaking free from it. Psychologists have identified 3 core dimensions of burnout that work together like a slow, silent poison. The first dimension is emotional exhaustion, which is the feeling that you have absolutely nothing left to give to anyone or anything. The second dimension is depersonalization, which is when you start to emotionally detach from your work, your relationships, and even your own identity, treating everything with a cold, cynical indifference that feels foreign to who you used to be. The third and most dangerous dimension is a drastically reduced sense of personal accomplishment, where no matter what you achieve, it feels meaningless, hollow, and never enough. What psychology has been hiding from you is that these 3 dimensions do not arrive all at once. They creep in slowly, one layer at a time, over months or even years, which is why most people do not realize they are burned out until they are already completely devastated by it.
The most disturbing truth about the burnout crisis is that it is not an accident. The modern world has been architecturally designed in a way that makes burnout not just possible, but almost inevitable for the average person. We live in a culture that glorifies busyness, celebrates overwork, and treats rest as a sign of weakness or laziness. Social media has created a comparison economy where your worth is constantly measured against a highlight reel of other people's achievements, creating an endless psychological pressure to do more, be more, and achieve more at all times. Workplaces have quietly normalized the expectation of being constantly available through emails, messages, and notifications that follow you into your bedroom, your bathroom, and even your dreams. The psychological boundary between work and rest has been completely dissolved, and your nervous system is paying the catastrophic price. What nobody is telling you is that when you never truly rest, your brain never fully recovers. And over time, the cumulative neurological damage of chronic stress begins to permanently alter the way you think, feel, and experience the world around you.
The psychology they never taught you. Now we arrive at the part of the burnout conversation that psychology has consistently failed to bring into the mainstream, and it involves the concept of the nervous system's window of tolerance. Every human being has a specific psychological bandwidth within which they can function effectively, feel emotions without being overwhelmed, and process stress without breaking down. When you are chronically burned out, your window of tolerance shrinks dramatically, which means that situations you once handled with ease now trigger overwhelming anxiety, anger, or complete emotional shutdown.
Your brain, specifically your prefrontal cortex, begins to lose its ability to regulate your emotional responses, making you more reactive, more impulsive, and far less capable of the clear thinking you desperately need. Burnout also causes a measurable reduction in gray matter in the areas of the brain responsible for memory, empathy, and decision-making. This means that burnout is not just a feeling, it is a neurological reality that physically changes the structure of your brain if left untreated. The most critical thing you can do right now is recognize that this is not a personal weakness or a character flaw. It is a biological response to an unsustainable environment, and it requires real, intentional psychological intervention to reverse.
How to reclaim yourself and conclusion. So, what do you actually do when you recognize that you are burned out or heading in that direction? The answer is not a 2-week vacation or a new morning routine, although those things can help at the margins. True recovery from burnout requires a fundamental restructuring of your relationship with yourself, your time, and your sense of worth. You must begin by practicing what psychologists call restorative behaviors, which are activities that actively rebuild your internal resources rather than simply pausing the depletion. This includes deep, uninterrupted sleep, genuine social connection with people who restore your energy rather than drain it, creative activities that have no productivity goal attached to them, and regular time spent in nature, which has been clinically proven to reduce cortisol levels and restore cognitive function. You must also begin the difficult psychological work of examining the core beliefs that made you vulnerable to burnout in the first place. Beliefs like your worth is tied to your productivity, saying no makes you selfish, or that resting means you are falling behind. These beliefs are the true root of the crisis, and dismantling them is the most powerful psychological act of self-preservation you will ever perform. The burnout crisis is real, it is widespread, and it has been hiding in plain sight for far too long. But now you have the psychological blueprint to recognize it, understand it, and begin to dismantle it from the inside out. Here at Intelevo Mind, our mission is to give you the raw, unfiltered psychological truth that empowers you to take back control of your mind and your life. If this video gave you even one insight that changes how you see yourself or your situation, then make sure you subscribe to Intelevo Mind right now, because every single week we release deep psychological breakdowns designed to help you understand yourself and the world around you at a level that most people never reach. Hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and join the growing community of people who refuse to live on autopilot. Your mind is your most powerful asset. It is time to start treating it that way.